3 nights before it happened, Quonty Adams lay awake in his tiny jail cell, staring at the cracked ceiling. The dull hum of fluorescent lights buzzed above him, a constant reminder that he was trapped. But not for long. Inmates whispered stories about impossible escapes. Most were just myths, legends passed around to give men hope. But Adams wasn't interested in hope, he was interested in getting out. Alton City Jail wasn't a supermax facility, it wasn't some impenetrable fortress, but it was still a prison, and breaking out of one required more than just guts. It required brains, patience, and the kind of nerve that most men didn't have. Adams had all 3. Quonty Adams wasn't your average inmate. At 33, he had already spent years inside various prisons. He knew how they operated, where the guards were lazy, where the cameras had blind spots, and most importantly, how prisoners made mistakes. But this time, the stakes were higher. He was facing 35 years for attempting to possess 400 pounds of marijuana, 35 years for weed. He couldn't let that happen. For months, he had been studying the jail's routines. He watched how the guards moved when they did their rounds, where they cut corners. Every prison had weaknesses. It was just a matter of finding them. Then he saw it. His cell door had a food slot, a small opening used to pass trays inside. The average man couldn't fit through it, but Quonty Adams wasn't average. Getting through the food slot was only part of the escape. He needed help, someone on the outside. That's when he came up with a crazy idea. He managed to get hold of a phone, a contraband cell phone, smuggled inside through a network of connections. Using it, he reached out to a woman he had never even met in person. She was someone he had been talking to for weeks, a person he charmed through phone calls and letters. She believed his story, believed he was wrongfully imprisoned. And she was willing to help. He told her where to be and what to bring. The rest? He'd handle that himself. It was just past midnight when Adams made his move. The jail was quieter now. The guards were tired, running on autopilot. They weren't expecting anything unusual. Inside his cell, Adams wrapped his body in baby oil and Vaseline, a slick, greasy layer that would help him slide through the food slot. The opening was small, too small for a grown man, but he had been starving himself for weeks, dropping weight just to make this possible. He took a deep breath. Then he forced his head through. Pain shot through his skull as the metal edges dug into his skin. He gritted his teeth, his body trembling as he squeezed forward. His shoulders were the biggest challenge. If he got stuck here, it was over. He exhaled all the air from his lungs, his body compressed just enough to slip through. Then, pop! His torso slid free, leaving only his legs dangling inside the cell. With one final push, he landed outside the bars, in the hallway. He had done it. The hallway was dark, but Adams knew where to go. He stayed low, moving silently past the guard station. A few feet away was the exit door, but it was locked. He needed another way out. That's when he spotted it, a service door leading to a storage area. He hurried inside, his heart pounding. Shelves stacked with cleaning supplies and tools lined the walls. He didn't need any of that. What he needed was a disguise. He grabbed a janitor's uniform, slipping it over his jail clothes. If someone saw him now, he'd look like just another worker. But looking the part wasn't enough. He needed to act the part too. He picked up a mop and bucket and walked out like he belonged. A security guard was coming his way. Adams didn't panic, he just kept moving. Confident, casual. The guard barely glanced at him. To him, Adams was just another guy on the night shift. Then, the moment of truth. The final set of doors leading to the outside. They were locked, but Adams knew something most inmates didn't. Jail doors weren't like movie prison doors. They didn't swing open dramatically when unlocked. They buzzed for just a few seconds, giving workers time to push through. All he needed was someone to buzz him out. He stood near the exit, pretending to mop the floor. Then his savior appeared. A real janitor walked up and swiped his security badge on the door scanner. The door clicked open. Adams moved fast, slipping through just before it locked again. And just like that, he was outside. The air was cold, the night silent. He was free, but the job wasn't finished. He ran toward the parking lot, his legs burning from the adrenaline. Then, headlights flashed. A car was waiting. Inside, the woman who had agreed to help him sat behind the wheel, nervously gripping the steering wheel. Adams jumped in, slammed the door, and they sped off into the night. By the time the alarm sounded inside the jail, Adams was long gone. Guards scrambled, searching every corner of the building, but all they found was an empty cell and a food slot bent open just wide enough for a desperate man to squeeze through. The escape made national headlines. Authorities called it one of the most daring jailbreaks in modern history. For months, Adams remained on the run. He switched cars, changed locations, always one step ahead. But freedom didn't last forever. Eventually, authorities tracked him down, bringing his time on the outside to an end. But the legend of his escape lived on. Even behind bars, Adams became a symbol of defiance, proof that no prison is truly inescapable if a man is desperate enough. And though they locked him away again, he had done what no one else dared to do. He had beaten the system